Thanks for tuning in, guys. The Pest and Lawn Ginja, and this is my lawn. So it's been about 2.5 weeks since we did the spring fertilizer mix, and I wanted to show you my results. The weather here's been pretty crazy. It won't stop raining, and finally we got a little bit of sun. So wanted to come out and kind of show you what happened to the lawn over the last 2.5 weeks. All right, just as usual, guys, here's the rough cut of the lawn. It's grown significantly. I'd say it's grown about an inch and a half. You can see my racing stripes are starting to disappear a little bit, which is really cool. And for those of you guys who just joined me, you can check out all the previous episodes on my playlist, This Is My Lawn. Now, a couple of things going on here. We got weeds coming in, and this is normal because last year was my first year of doing treatments, no pre-emergence. Got a little bit of quack grass kind of poking up here, and I'll probably just end up pulling that. There's a couple different solutions I'm thinking about trying to see if they actually work. For the most part, biennial broadleaf dandelions. So that's to be expected. And my nemesis here with my shallow root areas, we've got a little bit of tufted thatch, so I wanted to go over that too. But all in all, really good, solid results. It's not perfect, didn't expect it to be, and again, more weeds. Now, this is typically a sign my calcium's either tied up, so hopefully all that calcium that we put down start pushing in, but we really just need to get the bluegrass thicker. Now, I didn't scalp the backyard like I did the front yard over the winter, and as you can see, it's growing like crazy. Big Ned here, his pea pile. Gosh, Ned's got enough nitrogen. It's about, I don't know, 6 inches tall. What are we gonna do with Big Ned? Anyway, guys, you can see it's growing really well. The color, though, is so rich. Oh, there's the culprit right there. Really happy with the color. But let's get on to the mow. I wouldn't say she's the best looking girl at the bar, but she'll sure go home with me. I mowed it about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. It's looking pretty good. I mean, color's good, it's sustaining. The light green patches are because those are the areas that were growing fastest and I scalped it. Those will come back, no problem. I mean, but it's really kind of exposed the problem that we've had all along, right? We've got this thatch layer buildup from roots that are toppling. Now, I want to go over the differences between thatch and just debris or mulch that's just kind of building up and not decomposing. So thatch is that layer between the dirt and the top of the soil that's usually a spindle full of roots and sediment, all the good earthy stuff. My problem is we've got those roots that are going upward and they're kind of building and spiraling upward, and that's the problem that you're seeing here. It is not debris on top of the soil as much as it is just the actual thatch. Look at that color. So in the backyard, I left the mower a little bit higher. The color's great. You can see Big Ned, big poops, man, big urines. So we've got quite a number of spots we got to fix from over the winter, but if you guys go back in the playlist and look from last fall, wow, it's much better. That calcium's really kicking in, the humic's doing its job, which is really awesome. So couldn't be happier. Things are going well. I've still got a little bit more cutting to do on this side. I'm gonna get my pooper scoopers out here, aka the kiddos, and then we're gonna go. All right, does this look familiar to any of you guys out there? This right here is Johnson grass. Best thing you do is just pull it. I usually just pull it at the stalk right here. It bunches up. It's a bunching grass. and comes out pretty good, roots and all. It's the best way to do it. And there you have it. Okay, so here's my biggest issue with the backyard. You can see this line of sun, right? So everything in the shade struggles to grow. And the dog urine spots are times 10 in this area because it doesn't really have a chance to dry out. Now, I have a separate issue going on where this whole area stays soaking wet. I don't have the proper drainage, and I'm still trying to figure out if it's even worth the hassle because blue's not going to grow back here. Now, I could shove in a rhizomatous rye grass, but tell me what you guys want me to do. Do we want to try to grow grass through this swampland or fix the drainage issue, or do we just want to do something else? Okay, fast forward 3 days later, and here we are after the first mow of the season. I've got a problem, guys. All right, guys, so we've had a really nice fresh mow. It's kind of exposed some of the issues with the weeds that we got to take care of. So in this episode, we're really going to focus on weed control. It's important to understand that you have your biennials and your annuals. So anytime you guys use a pre-emergent, it's going to affect what you do for the future and nothing for the past. Since I just moved in here 1 year ago, I can expect that I'm going to have some annuals and biennials in consideration that didn't get a chance to put down any sort of pre-emergent. Now the weeds in my lawn, they're not so bad, but the weeds everywhere else have kind of taken over. I've got a little bit of dandelions, I've got some annual broadleafs coming in, and white top. So I need to have an herbicide that's going to be a little bit more efficient at hitting the roots of my hard to do weeds, and also have more of an oil base. So I like to use an ethyl ester. So today I'm going to be using Speedzone. It's kind of my go-to for spring for an overall weed killer because it'll get bindweed, it'll get the white top, your hard to do weeds in my region, but it'll also get the simple stuff too. So today's going to go a little bit different. Instead of doing a broadcast application or a blanket application across the entire lawn, we're going to be doing a spot spray. So if you read the label, we're going to use the high rate for the spot spray at 1.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet. There's a couple of tricks that I like to do. I like to add about 1 ounce of fertilizer to it to stimulate a little bit of growth. I also like to add the surfactant to it. And for you guys at home that get really excited about using soap, go ahead and use your soap as a surfactant. I'm going to be using a non-ionic surfactant. I feel like it works a little bit better to help stick to the plant as a penetrant, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, as for calibration, things are a little bit different. We're going to be spraying at 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet is where we're at. Now, the biggest thing that you have to pay attention to is just uniformity, but also getting the herbicides to stick to the plant. So we're going to be using more of a, not quite a mist, but it's not going to be a heavy droplet size. And I'll just show you right now how that's going to go. Now you notice initially the droplet sizes are too big, it's too dense. So all I start doing is manipulating the end here, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and we're going to get a nicer mist to it. Uniformity is the game. You want to be consistent, because if you're not consistent, you're going to burn some areas, and then other areas you're not going to kill the weed. Now I chose Speedzone primarily for ease of use because I've got some hard to do weeds and I've got some really easy broadleaf weeds to take care of. It's classified as an ethyl ester, which anytime you see that ester in it, it just means it's got an oil base. The ethyl ester has a built-in surfactant to it and a penetrant, so it's going to hit the weeds pretty easy. It's also got dicamba, carfentrazone, and mecaprop in it, which really penetrate deep down into the roots for your hard to do weeds. So for my white top weed and those of you out there who have thistle, Speedzone is a really good choice. Now keep in mind, you always want to read the label to make sure that your target pest is actually on the label. Now with that in mind, I like to use Speedzone in the springtime or below 85 degrees because you will increase your chances of burning after that, and it does volatilize as well. So it's something that you don't want to use in heavy humidity and heavy heat, but it's a great product. If you haven't had a chance to use it, go out and buy it. The other thing is though, is if you just have these really easy to do weeds, you don't need a product like Speedzone. You could just use a regular 2,4-D base and add a surfactant to it like soap. You'll get the same results. Pretty simple. But for those hard to do weeds, the dicamba, the mecaprom, and the carfentrazone are really good active ingredients to have. All right guys, these are my 2-week results. Coming up, I wouldn't say it's too bad considering all the hiccups that we've had. If you guys have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. The Ginja loves to hear from you. Till the next time guys, I'm out.